I would never trade that experience or that affiliation for the world, but the game plan was always to say, okay, what are we establishing for myself? As opposed to just being part of this other, one of the greatest rap machines ever. We have to build our own machine as well. And I think the idea was always, this is home base, and aside from building out things at home, we're also, the goal is to say, okay, like from a very early time, one of the conversations was eventually what happens is people are going to want that sound that I created, you know what I mean? And then at that point, it's not about who your manager is or who your agent is or anything about that, it's about what you've done. So I want to say, all those years of watching, even in my earlier years, watching producers like Chucky Thompson were watching guys. I watched Havoc make Godfather Part 3. I watched Havoc make White Lines. Wow. I watched Big Pun record a lot of playing, like from my early studio days. So all that experience that I could go on about those sessions for days. Like I would say probably half of the rap classics from like 97 to 2001 in terms of East Coast hip hop, I watched the majority of those records get made.
In the country.
Yeah, exactly. So being able to take that experience and apply that directly to what we were building at Rockefeller, because Baseline was the headquarters for all that, and to have all those resources was kind of like, all right, yeah, this is what we're doing now, but we got to figure out the next thing. The next thing for me was being able to maintain or use what we built to my advantage, but also like say, all right, like there's no reason why we shouldn't be writing the songs and bringing in other producers as well. You know what I mean? And like Mike was saying, building that team so that no matter what call you get, you can take that on. Like you brought up DJ. Like DJ tried to get me early on. I think maybe like for M's second album. I wasn't ready for that at the time. I didn't have that experience. DJ was a genuine fan of the music, but I wasn't ready for that. You know what I mean? The goal was to get that to that point where no matter what call you get, you can tackle that. And if you can't, you have somebody on the team that can. And I think just growing creatively, like it got to the point where I realized I couldn't do more than make beats. Because for the first few years, I was just making beats. I wasn't producing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was, all right, here's the beat, you rhyme to it. I hope it's good. And I came to that point where there was so much money in the industry, everybody and their mother was getting record deals. Like, oh, that's your cousin's sister's roommate's babysitter's dog walker?
Right.
Sign it.
Right.
And I had like A&Rs were down a dozen at the time, especially in New York, and they'd be gassing you, talking to artists up to you. They'll get in the studio and it's like the worst shit you ever heard. And you're like, damn, like I made some money, I'm not making an impact. This artist was never even coming out. I knew that for the first 5 minutes they stepped in the booth. So it took me the confidence to say, or it took me a while to build the confidence to eventually be like, hey, that verse, that might not be it. And actually I learned a lot of that from Jay, like all those years of working with Jay. I'll never forget one time, the short version, we're in the studio, we're working, he leaves the room, I make some changes, and I'm like, I hope he's not upset that I made some changes on the record, like arrangement changes and whatnot. And when he came back in the room, actually he came back the next day and said, so the joint we did yesterday, I changed it all around. He's like, what you mean? I'm like, oh shit. Like, nah, I just made some arrangement changes. I moved your vocals over here, I added this there. He's like, play it. So I play it. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck this yeah I mean? But that's, Jay's, he's very nonchalant, just the way he carries himself. So I'm like, so he goes to walk out the room, and I'm like, what he said was yeah, and walked out the room. So I'm like, yo, is we good? He's like, yeah, I mean, you're a producer, I pay you to produce. Keep doing what you're doing. And that kind of was like the eye-opener for me. You know what I mean? Like, I had to start speaking my mind and really give my creative input outside of just making beats and hoping for the best.
That's a great point. Mike, when was that point for you? I remember you invited me to the studio one time. to listen to some joints from ears, and a lot of the joints that you were working on was we just build, and all of a sudden Beyonce floats into the room and asks you